Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How is everybody doing today? Good? It's good to hear. I would like to welcome you to the Poetry Out Loud Western Regionals. So let's give a round of applause for the wonderful poetry we're hearing. Of course, we have our wonderful poets over here, sitting on the right side of the audience. But before we begin, we're going to have a poem from our muse, which is Ingrid Bialuko. So welcome her to the stage with an applause.
Because he's black. So I'm driving down the street with my 4-year-old nephew. He knocking back a juice box, me a Snapple. Today, y'all, we are doing manly stuff. I love watching the way his mind works. He asks a million questions. He asks, Uncle, why is the sky blue? Uncle, how do cars go? Uncle, why don't dogs talk? Uncle, he asks, Uncle, he asks, Uncle, as if his voice box is a warped record. I try my best to answer every question I do. I say it's because the way the sun lights up the outer space. It's because engines make the wheels go. It's because their minds don't work quite like ours. I say yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe. We laugh. He smiles at me, looks out the window, spots a cop car, drops his seat and says, "Oh man, Uncle, 5-0, we gotta hide." I'll be honest, I'm not happy with the way we raise our black boys. Don't like the fact that he learned to hide from the cops well before he knew how to read. Angrier that his survival depends more on his ability to deal with the authorities than it does his own literacy. Get up, I yell at him. In this car, in this family, we are not afraid of the law. I wonder if he can hear the uncertainty in my voice. Is today the day he learns that Uncle is willing to lie to him? That I am more human than hero. We both know the truth is far more complex than do not hide. Both know too many black boys who disappeared, too many names lost. Trayvon Martins, Abner Louimas, Sean Bells, Amadou Diallos. Know too well that we are the hard-boiled sons of Emmett Till. Still, we both know it's not about whether or not the shooter is racist. It's about how black boys are treated as problems well before we're treated as people. Black boys in this country don't have the luxury of playing cops and robbers if we're always considered the latter. Can't afford to play war when we're already in one. Where I'm from, seeing cop cars drive down the street feels a lot like low-flying planes in New York City. Where I'm from, routine traffic stops are more like minefields. Any wrong move could very well mean your life. And how do I look my nephew in his apple face and tell him to be strong when we both know black boys are murdered every day simply for standing up for themselves? I take him by the hand, I say, be strong. I say, be smart. Be kind and polite. Know your laws. Be aware of how quickly your hand moves to pocket for wallet or ID. Be more aware of how quickly the officer's hand moves to holster for gun. Be black. Be a boy. Have fun. Because this world will treat you like a man far more quickly than you'll ever have to need to. He lets go of my hand, but Uncle, he asks, Uncle, what happens if the cop is really mean? And it scares me to know that he, like so many other black boys, is getting ready for a war I can't prepare him for.
Thank you very much, Ingrid. Before we begin tonight, I just want to give you guys a little bit of information about me, because I am your MC. My name is Diego Chelland. I go to Hellgate High School, and I am a poet/hip-hop artist in Missoula, Montana. And my life revolves around poetry, and it's an honor to be able to MC this event, and I'm very happy that Ann picked me for this, so thank you very much. Before we start tonight, I wanted to tell you guys how this is going to run down today. There's 2 different sections tonight, and we're going to have all of our poets perform one piece, and then there's going to be a second section where they perform it again. So there's 2 rounds. So get ready for a lot of poetry tonight. Well, Shall we get started with the first poet in our first section? Yeah? All right. We're gonna have Esther Leon Del Zordo.
You, Andrew Marvel, by Archibald MacLeish. And here, face down beneath the sun, and here, upon earth's noonward height, to feel the always coming on, the always rising of the night, to feel creep up the curving east, the earthy chill of dusk, and slow upon those underlands the vast and ever-climbing shadow grow, and strange, at Ecbaton, the trees take leaf by leaf, the evening strange, the flooding dark about their knees. The mountains over Persia change, and now at Kermanshaw the gate, dark, empty, and the withered grass, and through the twilight now the late few travelers in the westward pass, and Baghdad darken, and the bridge across the silent river gone, and through Arabia the edge of evening widen and steal on and deepen on Palmyra's street, the wheel rut in the ruined stone, and Lebanon fade out, and Crete high through the clouds and overblown, and over Sicily the air still flashing with the landward gulls, and loom and slowly disappear the sails above the shadowy hulls, and Spain go under, and the shore of Africa, the gilded sand, and evening vanish, and no more the low, pale light across that land, nor now the long light on the sea. And here, face downward in the sun, to feel how swift, how secretly the shadow of the night comes on.
Thank you very much. Self-portrait. He wants to be a brutal old man, an aggressive old man, as dull, as brutal as the emptiness around him. He does not want compromise, nor to be ever nice to anyone, just me. And final, in his brutal, his total rejection of it all, he tried the sweet, the gentle, the oh, let's hold hands together, and it was awful, dull, brutally inconsequential. Now he'll stand on his own dwindling legs. His arms, his skin shrink daily, and he loves, but hates equally. That was self-portrait. We wanted to thank MCAT very much because this presentation is being recorded by Missoula Community Access Television as part of a media assistance grant donated to Hellgate High School by MCAT. For information about MCAT, visit MCAT.org. I love MCAT. I took a summer class at MCAT actually, and I learned a whole bunch about videoing. So if anyone's into videoing, I would go down to MCAT in the summer. They have courses. It's fantastic. So check out that website. But throughout this process, I'm going to be sharing to you my own stories and my own poems, and some poems that I think are just fantastic. But the judges are going to be tallying up their scores, and I'm going to be sharing this presence with you. So, how's everybody doing tonight? Good. Good? Good, that's good to hear. So it's getting to that time around winter where everyone's just feeling sick and is tired of the snow. And, oh God. You just gotta bring some positivity into your life nowadays, because the snow is just melting right now. Spring's coming. But let's bring up the next poet. We're gonna have Ben River. Ben River coming to the stage.
La figlia che piange, by T.S. Eliot. O quam te memoram, Virgo? Stand on the highest pavement of the stair, lean on a garden urn, weave the sunlight in your hair. Clasp your flowers to you with a pained surprise, fling them to the ground and turn, with a fugitive resentment in your eyes, but weave the sunlight in your hair. So I would have had him leave. So I would have had her stand and grieve. So he would have left as the soul leaves the body torn and bruised, as the mind deserts the body it has used. I should find some way, incomparably light and deft, some way we both should understand, simple and faithless as a smile and shake of the hand. She turned away, but with the autumn weather compelled my imagination many days and many hours, her hair over her arms and her arms full of flowers. And I wonder how they should have been together. I should have lost a gesture and a pose. Sometimes these cogitations still amaze the troubled midnight and the noon's repose. Thank you.
I'm going to share with you a poem I wrote just the other day. The Man in the Coffee Shop. For as long as I've known that man has been coming to that coffee shop, sitting in that same table. He's a wise man, a man of many stories, a philosopher and a scholar, a man who loves to talk for hours, drink coffee, read, and eat pastries. His voice is rustic yet smooth, poetic and expressive. I saw him today for the first time in years. I swear it's been forever since I've been in his presence. He welcomed me, a chair and 10 minutes of conversation. I took the offer. I sat down and told him my story, new news and where I was heading on this life adventure. I told him of love, passion, and goals. The relatable man gave me advice, you could say. He told me a tale of a similar situation of his younger days. For this man writes poems like me, different in age but similar tongues. I wandered into that coffee shop just as he, and we shared the morning as a cup of coffee, and then I left. Coming up to the stage next, we're going to have Aaliyah Jordan. Welcome to the stage, Ms. Jordan.
Meditation on a Grapefruit by Craig Arnold. To wake when all is possible, before the agitations of the day have gripped you. To come to the kitchen and peel a little basketball for breakfast. To tear the husk like cotton padding. A cloud of oil misting out of its pinprick pores, clean and sharp as pepper. To ease each pale pink section out of its case, so carefully, without breaking a single pearly cell. To slide each piece into a cold blue china bowl, the juice pooling, until the whole fruit is divided from its skin, and only then to eat, so sweet. A discipline, precisely pointless. A devout involvement of the hands and senses. A pause. A little emptiness. Each year harder to live within. Each year harder to live without.
There's a piece that I really love, and I made it a ritual to perform it at every poetry event that I attend. And the poem's called Became, and it's by the rapper Atmosphere, so I'm going to perform that. It's no surprise. I overslept, put my boots on and climbed out my tent. I didn't see you, assumed you were sleeping. Immediately start a fire because it's freezing. I can't believe we went camping in the cold. I'm in the wilderness, standing in some snow. A late start, but we can still catch up. You need to wake up, we should eat and then pack up. It's when I notice your footprints, snow fresh, and those have been put since. What, you're already up, making the rounds? So where you at now, you laid back down? The breeze came, it styled out the flame. When I went to your tent, I called out your name. To be continued. We're ready for the next poem. We're ready. Up next to the stage, please welcome Phoebe Wallace.
The War Horse by Yvonne Boland. This dry night, nothing unusual about the clip. Claw, casual, iron of his shoes as he stamps death like a mint on the innocent coinage of earth. Pass, his breath hissing, his snuffling head down. He is gone. No great harm is done. Only a leaf or a laurel hedge is torn, of distant interest, like a maimed limb. Only a rose which now never climbed the stone of our house, expendable. A mere line defense against him, a volunteer, you might say. Only a crocus, its bulbous head blown from growth, one of the screamless dead. But we are safe. Our unformed fear of fierce commitment gone. Why should we care if a rose, a hedge, a crocus are rooted like corpses, remote, crushed, mutilated? He stumbles on like a rumor for, huge, threatening. Neighbors use the subterfuge of curtains. He stumbles down a short street, thankfully passing us. I pause, wait. Then to breathe relief, lean on the sill, and for a second, only my blood is still with atavism. That rose he smashed, phrase ribboned across our hedge, recalling days of burnt countryside, illicit parade, a cause ruined before a world betrayed.
Thank you, Phoebe. Like I said, I went to your tent and I called out your name. You didn't answer, so I opened up the flap. It's just an empty sleeping bag in your backpack. I'm looking at your tracks. You took a couple laps around the campground and hoofed down the path. I figured your return, no concern. I'm a whole book and try to make this cold wood burn. This wind is blowing strong, the minutes rolling on, it's going on at least a half an hour you've been gone. It ain't right, starts a paranoia. I left the campsite to go and search for you. I read the trail your feet made, each step was deliberately placed. It looks like you know where it leads, but I see nothing but leafless, frozen trees. It's about a quarter mile into the course, another set of tracks appear next to yours. From the north, it came out of a thick wolf. And those footprints belong to a big wolf. To be continued again. Up next to the stage, we're gonna have Geneva de Leon.
Kindness by Yusuf Komunyaka. For Carol Rigola. When deeds lay before us, precious as gold and unused chances stripped from the wine grown, we know the moment kind-heartedness walks in. Each praise be echoes us back as the years uncount themselves, eating salt. Though blood first shaped us on the climbing wheel, the human mind lit by the savannah's ice star and thistle rose, your knowing gaze enters a room and opens the day, saying, we were made for fun. Even the bedazzled brute knows when sunlight falls through leaves across honed knives on the table. If we can see it push shadows aside, growing closer, are we less broken? A barometer, temperature gauge, a ruler in minus fractions and pedigrees, a thingamajig, a probe with an all-seeing eye. What do we need to measure kindness? Every unheld breath, every unkind leap year? Sometimes a sober voice is enough to calm the waters and drive away the false witnesses, saying, look, here are the broken trees, beauty brought to us, earthbound sentinels.
Now there is one thing about poetry that I love most of all, and that's the power it has and how you can just compact all these powerful words together to explain one feeling. I think that's one amazing thing about poetry, and there's a million amazing things about poetry. I could tell you a poem right now about poetry and how much I love it. But poetry, like I love to say this, poetry builds our world. Poetry is everywhere. We listen to poetry in our car on the radio. We listen to poetry when we're singing a tune down the street. And that's the beautiful thing, because it moves through music. And one of the great things that humankind has is music. And I just want everyone to think about that and think about how much poetry has impacted your life. Up next, we're going to have Daniel Kohler. Welcome to the stage, Daniel.
I'll take care of these ones. In a Dark Time by Theodore Rothke. In a dark time, the eye begins to see. I meet my shadow in the deepening shade. I hear my echo in the echoing wood. a lord of nature weeping to a tree. I live between the heron and the wren, beasts of the hill and serpents of the den. What's madness but nobility of soul, at odds with circumstance? The day's on fire. I know the purity of pure despair. My shadow pinned against a sweating wall. Freedom Mountain. That place among the rocks? Is it a cave or a winding path? The edge is what I have. A steady storm of correspondences. What? A night flowing with birds, a ragged moon, and in broad day the midnight come again. A man goes far to find out what he is. Death of the self in a long, tearless night. All natural shapes blazing unnatural light. Dark, dark my night light, and dark my desire. My soul, like some heat-maddened summer fly, keeps buzzing at the sill. Which eye is I? A fallen man, I climb out of my fears. The mind enters itself, and God the mind, and one is one, free in the tearing wind. Thank you.
I wanted to share with everyone one of my favorite poems from the 21st century. The caterpillar is a prisoner to the streets that conceived it. Its only job is to eat or consume everything around it in order to protect itself from this mad city. While consuming its environment, the caterpillar begins to notice ways to survive. One thing it notices is how much the world shuns him, but praises the butterfly. The butterfly represents the talent, the thoughtfulness, and the beauty within the caterpillar. But having a harsh outlook on life, the caterpillar sees the butterfly as weak and figures out a way to pimp it to his own benefits. Already surrounded by his mad city, the caterpillar goes to work on the cocoon which institutionalizes him. He can no longer see past his own thoughts. He's trapped. When trapped inside these walls, certain ideas take roots, such as going home and bringing back new concepts to this mad city. The result, wings begin to emerge, breaking the cycle of feeling stagnant. Finally free, the butterfly sheds light on situations that the caterpillar never considered, ending the internal struggle. Although the butterfly and caterpillar are completely different, they are one and the same. To Pimp a Butterfly, Kendrick Lamar. Up next to the stage, we're going to have Cole Stone. Please welcome Cole Stone to the stage, everyone.
Mad Song by William Blake. The wild winds weep, the night is a cold. Come hither, sleep in my griefs enfold. But lo, the morning peeps over the eastern steeps, and the rustling birds of dawn the earth do scorn. Lo, vault of paved heaven, with sorrow fraught, my notes are driven. They strike the ear of night, make weak the eye of day. They make mad roaring winds and with tempests play, like a fiend in a cloud with roaring woe. After night I do crowd, and with night will go. I turn my back to the east, from whence comforts have increased. For light doth seize my brain with frantic pain.
Thank you very much, Cole. The good traits of a poet, I feel, are expression, an ability to tell stories, and the sense of acting. Because us poets are up on stage, and the first thing that you have to do when you come on stage as a poet is expression. You have to connect with your audience as a whole for them to internally understand how you're feeling. And we have to act up here. Because we're not showing our true faces, we're telling stories, and this is where the storytelling comes in, because they're all connected and they all come together. And I just wanted to let all you young poets know that you guys are doing a fantastic job, and keep poetry in your life, and just keep striving and keep finding new poems to express yourself with, and better yet, write your own poems. Up next, we're going to have Julie Quackenbush. Please welcome Julie Quackenbush.
Rain by Kazim Ali. With thick strokes of ink, the sky fills with rain, pretending to run for cover, but secretly praying for more rain. Over the echo of the water, I hear a voice saying my name. No one in the city moves under the quick, sightless rain. The pages of my notebook soak, then curl. I've written, yogis open their mouths for hours to drink the rain. The sky is a bowl of dark water, rinsing your face. The window trembles. Liquid glass can shatter into rain. I am a dark bowl, waiting to be filled. If I open my mouth now, I could drown in the rain. I hurry home as though there is someone there waiting for me. The night collapses into your skin. I am the rain.
Thank you very much. I'm going to read you guys an original poem by me. I don't really have a name for it, so if you guys find one, maybe you can come up and let me know. What do you guys think it should be called? It's getting darker. It's even more late. I'm getting older. You can call that fate. The moon is hidden, the stars are creeping, and from the great unknown, a secret is leaking. A man with a bow looking for fresh prey. To feed his family is all he is seeking. The same very night, evil spirits lurked, you could say, as the grim searched for a man on the night of the reaping. Only one victim, only one victor. The man's soul was taken that night for the grim's immortal keeping. Thank you very much. Up next to the stage is Roman Hall. Keep it up.
The Experience by Ralph Waldo Emerson. The Lords of Life. The Lords of Life, I saw them pass, in their own guise, like and unlike, portly and grim, use and surprise, service and dream, succession swift and spectral wrong, temperament without tongue. And the inventor of the game, omnipresent without name. Some to see, some to be guessed, they marched from east to west. And little man, least of all, among the legs of his guardians tall, walked about with puzzled look. Him, by the hand, dear nature took. Dearest nature, strong, kind, whisper, darling, never mind. Tomorrow, they will wear another face. The founder vow, these are thy race. Thank you.
Thank you very much. For those of you that attended the last poetry event that I hosted, I mentioned my good friend Bruce Lee. How I came across this book was I was at my friend Ari's house and I saw this book and I was like, can I borrow that book? And he just told me to keep it. And if anyone has an interest in other philosophies, I would suggest Bruce Lee because he's a man of many wisdoms. But I'm going to read you a couple poems from Bruce Lee throughout the night because I think that they're just some tremendous poems. Down the western hill, the bright sun sinks, making yellow gold of all the air. On a lonely hilltop away from the distant mist, a golden dragon stands staring with dreams that fade and die in the bright west. He writes a lot of short poems, so that was just a short poem for you guys. But up next to the stage, please welcome Cody Williams.
All Hallows Eve by Dorothy Tennant. Sit tight, be perfect, make it otherwise. Yesterday is torn in shreds. Lightning's thousand sulphur eyes rip apart the brief beds. Hear bones crack and pulverize. Doom creeps in on rubber treads. Countless overwrought housewives, minds unraveling like threads. Try lipstick shades to tranquilize fears of age and general dreads. Sit tight, be perfect, swamp the spies. Don't take losses for fountains. Drink tasty antidotes, otherwise, you the werewolf, you the best.
The summer day. Who made the world? Who made the swan, the black bear? Who made the grasshopper? This grasshopper, I mean. The one who has flung herself out of the grass. The one who is eating sugar out of my hand. Who is moving her jaws back and forth instead of up and down. Who is gazing around with her enormous and complicated eyes. Now she lifts her pale forearms and thoroughly washes her face. Now she snaps her wings open and floats away. I don't know exactly what a prayer is. I don't know how to pay attention, how to fall down into the grass, and how to kneel in the grass, how to be idle and blessed, how to stroll through the fields, which is what I have been doing all day. Tell me, what else should I have done? Doesn't everything die at last and too soon? Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your own wild and precious life? Up next to the stage, please welcome Violet Anderson.
April Love by Ernest Dowson. We have walked in love's land a little way. We have learned his lesson a little while. And shall we not part at the end of the day with a sigh, a smile? A little while in the shine of the sun, we were twined together, jointless, forgot how shadows fall when the day is done and the love is not. We have made no vows, there will be none broke. Our love was as free as the wind on the hill. There was no word said, we need wish unspoke. We have wrought no ill. So shall we not part at the end of the day, who have loved and lingered a little while, jointless for the last time, go our way with a sigh, a smile?
When your mind feels out of place, what's really in your way? The question is life, what do you want me to say? We all have a hard time figuring out the meaning, trying to make millions, stuck in plans screaming. Really, what's the reason? Question your path, every day make it laugh, and remember to change with the seasons. Ignorance is bliss. Now let's begin. It's like throwing away trash in nature, or turning trees into paper, then write a rap on that paper, and I call myself a rapper. Do we really care what will happen after? All of the pain and the disaster? Will we still be frozen in historical laughter? With all of our resources disappearing faster and faster? Corporate monsters are like mineral Minecrafters, subliminal Minecrafters, AKA all of you other rappers. I just want to share some of my hip-hop with you guys. One of the fans, I am a big, I love hip-hop myself because I think that, because I was telling you how music emulates poetry to its fullest extent, but when you can really write a really good rap and a really true, raw rap that isn't talking about partying and all that kind of stuff they do and all that trap music nowadays, if you can really emulate and embody a true poet in a rap, that is in my opinion, what rap should be like nowadays. And I feel like all of these musicians are taking it in such a wrong way, and we could really be spreading all these positive message with rap music to our kids, because what do the kids mostly listen to nowadays? It's pop music and rap music. So I'm a big subscriber in political and positive rap. So that's one thing that I would love to share with you guys tonight is my love for rap. We have a question right over here.
Okay, I'm just wondering, what rapper do you think has the best lyrics?
The best lyrics, I would say. I'll name a couple because I can't really pick favorites here. I really respect Atmosphere's rap because he's very poetic. I really respect Kendrick Lamar's raps, and for rhythm style, I love J. Cole. So that's one thing. If you guys don't know who those men are, I would suggest looking them up at some point in your life. Are we almost ready? Oh, we're ready. All right. Up next to the stage, Rose Santos. Give it up. I think I skipped one. I'm so sorry. Really, who's really going to be up to the stage next is Liana Dillon. Please give a round of applause.
Hope is the Thing with Feathers by Emily Dickinson. Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. And sweetest in the gale is heard, and sore must be the storm that could abash the little bird that kept so many warm. I've heard it in the chillest land and on the strangest sea, yet never, in extremity, it asked a crumb of me.
When I was backstage, I got a special guest. My father surprised me. Oh, where is he? Dad! Oh, hello. Do you wanna? He's also a poet. I just wanted to give him a little piece.
Yay, Taj.
In a world where it's hard to tell when something was down, seems the only thing consistent is that the earth spins round, and that the sun comes up just to go back down. While the laws of gravity bind our feet to the ground, to walk through life, the good and the bad, the happy, the sad, the wrong and the right, fight, struggle to pledge. A pledge to the edge of the ledge, warrior heights, ritual rites. Seen through the warrior's sight, antiquitous bows, swords, battle axes, and shields, mythical warriorship transcends from the battlefield to modern day man, the present moment in time, to combat the human condition inflicting mankind.
Now up next is Rose Santos, so give it up a second time.
Battlefield by Mark Turcott. Back when I used to be Indian, I am standing outside the pool hall with my sister. She's strawberry blonde, stale sweat, and beer through the open door. A warrior leans upon his stick, fingers blue with chalk. Another bends to shoot. His braids brush the green belt and swing to the beat of the jukebox. We move away. Hank Williams falls again in the backseat of a Cadillac. A wind from the distant hills lifts my shirt and brings the scent of wounded horses.
Thank you very much, Rose. Whose woods these are, I think I know. His house is in the village, though. He will not see me stopping here to watch his woods fill up with snow. My little horse must think it queer to stop without a farmhouse near, between the woods and frozen lake, the darkness evening of the year. He gives his harness bells a shake to ask if there is some mistake. The only other sounds the sweep of easy wind and downy flake. The woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep and miles to go before I sleep. Many, many, many miles to go before I sleep. Up next to the stage is Madeline Braun. Please welcome her up to the stage.
by Mina Loy. A silver Lucifer serves cocaine in cornucopia. To some somnambulists of adolescent thighs draped in satirical draperies. Perry's and Library prepare Leth for posthumous parvenus, delirious avenues lit with the chandelier souls of infusoria led to mercurial doomsdays of odious oasis to furrowed phosphorus. The eye-white, skylight, white light district of lunar lusts. Stellelectric signs, wing shows on Starway, zodiac carousel. Cyclones of ecstatic dust and ashes whirl, crusaders of hallucinatory citadels, from shattered glass to evacuate craters. Flocks of dreams browse on Necropolis. From the shores of oval oceans in the oxidized Orient, onyx-eyed odalisks and ornithologists observe the flight of eras obsolete, and immortality mildews on the museums of the moon. Nocturnal cyclops, crystal concubine, pocked with personification, the fossil virgin of the skies, waxes and wanes.
Broken promises. I have met them in dark alleys, limping and one-armed. I have seen them playing cards under a single light bulb and tried to join in, but they refused me rudely. Knowing I would only let them win, I have seen them in foyers of theaters, coming back late from the interval, long after the others have taken their seats, and in deserted shopping malls late at night, peering at things they can never buy. And I have found them wandering in a wood where I too have wandered. This morning I caught one, small and stupid, too slow to get away. It was only a promise I had made to myself once and then forgot. But it screamed and kicked at me and ran to join the others who looked at me with reproach in their long, sad faces. When I drew near them, they scurried away, even though they will sleep in my yard tonight. I hate them for their ingratitude. I who have kept countless promises, as dead now as Shakespeare's children. You bastards, I scream. You have to love me. I gave you life. Up next to the stage, Ingrid Schuling.
Trees, by Joyce Kilmer. I think that I shall never see a poem lovely as a tree whose hungry mouth is pressed against the earth's sweet flowing breast, a tree who looks at God all day and lifts her leafy arms to pray, a tree that may in summer wear a nest of robins in her hair, upon whose bosom snow is lain, who intimately lives with the rain. Poems are made by fools like me, but only God can make a tree.
Thank you, Ingrid. I just got this book from the library, which is fantastic, because I've just been, my favorite thing to do in the morning is just open it up and flip to a poem and just sit down and read one. And that's what I just did. Into the Glacier. With the green lamp of the spirit of sleeping water taking us by the hand, deeper and deeper, a luminous blackness opening like the wings of a raven, as though a heavy wind were rising through all the houses we ever lived in, the cold rushing in, our blankets flying away into the darkness, and we, naked and alone, awakening forever. Up next, coming to the stage, is Sophia Speckert. Please welcome Sophia.
on a bombing of the church in Birmingham, Alabama, 1963. Mother, dear, may I go downtown and step out to play and march the streets of Birmingham in a freedom march today? No, baby, no. You may not go, for the dogs are fierce and wild, and clubs and hoses, guns and jails aren't good for a little child. But mother, I won't be alone. Other children will go with me and march the streets of Birmingham to make our country free. No, baby, no. You may not go, for I fear those guns will fire. But you may go to church instead and sing in the children's choir. She has combed and brushed her night dark hair, then bathed rose petals sweet, and drawn white gloves on her small brown hands and white shoes on her feet. The mother smiled to know her child was in the sacred place, but that smile was the last smile to come upon her face. For when she heard the explosion, her eyes grew wet and wild. She raced through the streets of Birmingham, calling for her child. She clawed through bits of glass and brick, then lifted out a shoe. Oh, here's the shoe my baby wore, but baby, where are you? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sophie. One of my other favorite things to do is free-form poetry or free-form rap, so I might have to share a little with you. The weekend calls me, calls my name, for the week has grabbed me by my heart and ripped it out. I am worn out. I need sleep. I need food. I need to rest. Please, 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 see me be. Just grab me, hold me close to your bosom and tell me things are okay. Because right now I'm so stressed out that my life is gray. In moments I might say that I need a little bit, but all I need is a good mental and some time to play. For my favorite times to be alive is when I feel like a kid, striving, hoping for something aside, hoping that my weekend will arrive, hoping that I can go into the night and feel alive. Thank you. Up next to the stage, we're going to have Claire Parsons.
Since There Is No Escape by Sarah Teasdale. Since there is no escape, since at the end my body will be utterly destroyed, this hand I love as I have loved a friend, this body I tended, wept with, and enjoyed. Since there is no escape even for me, who love life with a love too sharp to bear, the scent of orchards in the rain, the sea, and hours alone too still and short for prayer. Since darkness waits for me, then all the more, let me go down as waves sweep to the shore in pride, and let me sing with my last breath. In these few hours of light, I lift my head. Life is my lover. I shall leave the dead if there is any way to baffle death.
Thank you very much, Claire. Bruce Lee, walking along the bank of Lake Washington. The breeze on the bank already blows cool and mild. The distant merging of lake and sky is but a red trace of sunset. The deep silence of the lake cuts off all memory from me. Along the lonely bank, I move with slow footsteps. Alone, the disturbed frogs scurry off. Here and there are houses. Cool beads of lights spring out from them. A dazzling moon shines down from the lonely depths of the sky. In the moonlight, slowly I move to a gung fu form. Body and soul are fused into one. It's Bruce Lee. His philosophy and the way he trains himself is the Kung Fu way. And he mentions that a lot in his book. So if you want to learn about Kung Fu, Bruce Lee is Kung Fu. Up next to the stage, Stephen Clement. Please welcome Stephen.
Pity the Beautiful by Dana Gioia. Pity the beautiful, the dolls and the dishes, the babes with big daddies granting their wishes. Pity the pretty boys, the hunks and Apollos, the golden lads whom success always follows, the hotties, the knockouts, the 10s out of 10, the drop-dead gorgeous, the great bleeding men. Pity the faded, the bloated, the blousy, the paunchy Adonis whose luck's gone lousy. Pity the gods, no longer divine. Pity the night, the stars lose their shine.
Thank you very much. That's round one. We have another whole round to go. So we have another whole round of poetry coming for us. Oh yes. One second. Can you just
Thanks, Diego. Nice job. So my name is Sean Gant. I'm a teacher and librarian here at Helgate, and I want to introduce you to Jonna Schwartz, who's our state coordinator for Poetry Out Loud. I asked her to say a few words about just about the competition while we get in between rounds here, but unfortunately she's lost her voice. So. Maybe just whisper.
Thank you guys all.
I do want to introduce you especially to parents and students. She told me that we can take the top 6 finalists from tonight's competition to state, and that's on March 4th. And that's at the Myrna Lloyd Theater in Helena, and it's an all-day event. It's all Saturday. She'll have the paperwork and everything for those top 6, and then also we'll name a 7th as an alternate. Anything else I should tell families? Maybe just a little bit, and then we gotta keep rocking, because I know a lot of you have to get back on the road and drive home tonight. So the trip to DC is for all state winners across the United States and Puerto Rico, Virgin Islands. And it's an amazing trip. They fly a student, the student's teacher, and a parent to DC for about 3 days, where they stay at a great hotel, meet students from all across the nation who love poetry. And it's a 3-day event. It's kind of in a dark George Washington Theater, where you're just immersed with poetry. So it's a fantastic opportunity also for students because they compete for scholarships for college. And I don't know what the exact amounts are, but the top 5 winners bring home a lot of money to go to the school of their choice. Along the way, also, students win stipends for themselves and for their school libraries to buy poetry. So it's awesome that you guys are doing these poems for yourselves, you know, by heart for the rest of your life, and that you've shared them with us tonight. I know it's a lot of work. It's kind of nerve-wracking to be up here. You guys are doing a great job, and we can hardly wait for the second round. And we look forward to, you know, the results of the competition too, to have a great send-off for you guys to stay. So thanks again, families and teachers and friends, for being here tonight to support poetry. And let's have round two. Okay, thanks.
So I'm going to tell you one little saying that I think all of you would think is hilarious and you guys might be able to bring into your own life. When I was a wee lad, me and my dad would always take me around because he was finishing up college and he was working while I was just a little kid, so I would go everywhere with him. And one day, because my dad and I now are big people, if that makes sense. But anyways, we were going around, we were talking to all of our friends, and at the end of all of our conversations, my dad would say, "Oh, wait, we gotta go because we got a squash in the oven." And I was like, "Oh, wow. Like, that's a good saying for we gotta go." And we'd stop by, we'd say hey to Tom. My dad would be like, "Actually, we've got a jet. We've got a squash in the oven." And I always thought that my dad was metaphorically just saying we have a squash in the oven. That's like we had to go. And when we got home, my dad opens the oven and there's a squash. So apparently it was true. So I think it's funny, and whenever I have to go now, I'm always like, "Yo, I've got a squash in the oven, I've got a jet, so see you later." So if you guys want to use that one, feel free to use it. All right, we're going to start round 2. Is everyone ready for round 2 of poetry tonight? How's everyone liking the poetry tonight? Yeah? I know I pronounced this wrong last time. I'm going to try to pronounce it correct. Esther Lion Del Sordo. Woo! Please welcome Esther.
Constancy to an Ideal Object by Samuel Taylor Coleridge. Since all that beat about in nature's range, or veer, or vanish, why shouldst thou remain the only constant in a world of change? Oh, yearning thought, that loosed within the brain, call to the hours that in the distance play, the fairy people of the future day. Fond thought, not one of all that shining swarm will breathe on thee with life-enkindling breath, till when, like strangers sheltering from a storm, hope and despair meet in the porch of death. Yet still thou haunt'st me, and though well I see she is not thou, and only thou are she. Still, as though some dear embodied good, some living love, before my eyes there stood, I mourn to thee, and say, ah, loveliest friend, that this the meed of all my toils might be to have a home, an English home, and thee. Vain repetition, home and thou are one. The peacefullest cot the moon shall shine upon, lulled by the thrush and wakened by the lark. Without thee were but a becalmed bark whose helmsman on an ocean waste and wide sits mute and pale, his mouldering helm beside. And art thou nothing? Such thou art, as when the woodman, winding westward up the glen at wintry dawn, where o'er the sheep tracks maze the viewless snow mist weaves a glistening haze, sees full before him, gliding without tread, an image with a glory round its head. The anemic rustic worships its fair hues, nor knows he makes the shadow he pursues.
Thank you, Esther. At this point, I would love to acknowledge our judges for tonight. Thank you very much, Heather Cahoon, Karen Shaw, Henrietta Goodman, and Mackenzie Cole. Thank you all for being our judges tonight, and we appreciate it tremendously. I actually circled this fantastic stanza for my contemporaries, but I'm only going to read this one because I think it's very powerful. How time reverses the proud in the heart. I now make verses who aimed at art. That really resonates with me. And I think it's a good stanza to just share with all the poets of the world. So, oh, and also at this point I would love to give a little bit of recognition to one of my classmates running the lights for tonight. Thank you very much, Bridget. If you'd give her a round of applause. She's sitting there. Just gave everyone the thumbs up. Up next to the stage, Ben River. Please welcome Ben.
Brian, age 7, by Mark Doty. Grateful for their tour of the pharmacy, the first grade class has drawn these pictures. Each self-portrait taped to the window glass, faces wide to the street, round and available with parallel lines for hair. I like this one best. Brian, whose attenuated name fills a quarter of the frame, stretched beside impossible legs descending from the ball of his torso. 2 long arms springing from that same central sphere. He breathes here, on his page. It isn't craft that makes this figure come alive. Brian draws just balls and lines in wobbly crayon strokes. Why do some marks seem to thrill with life, possess a portion of the nervous energy in their maker's hand? That big curve of a smile reaches nearly to the rim of his face. He holds a towering ice cream, brown spears teetering on their cone. A soda fountain gift, half the length of him, as if it were the flag of his own country held high by the unadorned black line of his arm. Such naked support for so much delight. Artless boy, he's found a system of beauty. He shows us pleasure and what pleasure resists. The ice cream is delicious. He's frail beside his relentless standard. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ben. I shared this poem at the last Poetry Out Loud, but it's one very dear to my heart. My grandfather passed away when I was about 11, I think, and he left us in his will a house out in Drummond, Montana. It's actually in Hall, 5 minutes away from Drummond, if you guys know where that is. But I wrote a piece about his workshop. I wake up, hear a crash and a boom. In fear, I stare out into the moon and listen for the whisper inside of his tomb. The man I once knew rests in peace, I assume. A deep silence as the hairs on my body grow stiff. I wish I could remember, I wish only if he could communicate with me or send me some kind of gift. But he is nowhere to be found, and for that I will miss. As I pack my bags, preparing to leave the workshop, the time stopped when John died, but the clock starts to tick-tock. The old rusty radio turned on and Elvis started rock. And at the door I heard a sudden but calm knock, and then everything stopped. Thank you. Up next to the stage, we're going to have Aaliyah Jordan. Please welcome her again.
I Find No Peace by Sir Thomas Wyatt. I find no peace, and all my war is done. I fear and hope. I burn and freeze like ice. I fly above the wind, yet can I not arise? And not I have, and all the world I season, that loseth nor locketh, holdeth me imprisoned and holdeth me not. Yet can I escape no wise, nor letteth me live nor die at my device. And yet, of death, it giveth me occasion. Without eye I see, without tongue I play. I desire to perish, and yet I ask help. I love another, and thus I hate myself. I feed me in sorrow and laugh in all my pain. Likewise, displeaseth me both life and death, and my delight is causer of this strife. Thank you.
The man closing up. Like a deserted beach, the man closing up. Broken glass on the rocks and seaweed coming in to hang up on rocks. Walk with care, it's slippery here. Old pillings rotted, broken like teeth, where a pier was. A mouth and the tide coming in. The man closing up is like this. He has no hunger for anything. The man closing up, he would even try stones if they were offered. But he has no hunger for stones. He would make his bed if he could sleep on it. He would make his bed with white sheets and disappear into the white like a man diving, if he could be certain. The man closing up. This kind of reminds me of one of my friends. He works at Bernice's Bakery, and he always works the late shift. And it's kind of funny because whenever I know he's working, I'll go in the back and I'll peek my head through the window and I'll be like, Jim, Sometimes, if I'm lucky, he'll sneak me out like a cookie or like a muffin or something like that. But that's what that poem reminded me of, and I thought that was a good connection. Up next to the stage is Phoebe Wallace. Please welcome Phoebe.
Fairy Tale Logic by A.E. Stallings. Fairy tales are full of impossible tasks. Gather the chin hairs of a man-eating goat, or cross a sulfuric lake in a leaky boat. Select the prince from a row of identical masks. Tiptoe up to a dragon where it basks, and snatch his bone. Count dust specks, mote by mote, or learn the phone directory by rote. Always, it's impossible that someone asks. You have to fight magic with magic. You have to believe that you have something impossible up your sleeve. The length of snakes, perhaps an invisible cloak, an army of ants at your beck, or a lethal joke. The will to do whatever must be done. Marry a monster, hand over your firstborn son. Thank you.
I don't wanna be a rapper, I just wanna spit the poetry. Emotions overflow with me, my blinded eyes, they cannot see, it's haunting me. The world is showing me the monstrosity. There's monsters in my closet, well, metaphorically, this time to show the world the real me. But would the world be feeling me, or would they spit me like a seed? Woo, if a flower blooms in 8 days, there must be 8 ways, 8 different paths in the same phase. Can you get your way out? Well, that is the hardest question. Would you make your own route or follow the direction? It's time to realize, open your mind and go into the path. What is designed from you, mankind, stay alive. Thank you very much. Up next to the stage is Geneva De Leon. Please welcome her to the stage.
This is Kessler by Edgar Lee Masters. Mr. Kessler, you know, was in the Army, and he drew $6 a month as a pension, and stood on the corner talking politics, or sat at home reading Grant's memoirs. And I supported the family by washing, learning the secrets of all the people from their curtains, counterpanes, shirts and skirts. For things that are new grow old at length. They're replaced with better, or none at all. People are prospering, or falling back. And rents and patches widen with time. No thread or needle can pace decay. And there are stains that baffle soap. And there are colors that run in spite of you, blamed though you are for spoiling a dress. Handkerchiefs, napery, have their secrets. The laundress, life, knows all about it. And I, who went to all the funerals held in Spoon River, swear I never saw a dead face without thinking it looked like something washed and ironed.
Thank you, Geneva. I'm going to refer to this as my big book of poems from now on. Sal's atomic submarines. The Puerto Rican busboy, Jesus, coughs above the cutting board where Sal's compiles. An outbound order from the Abinger Associates next door, then carrying a pantheon of heroes in a brown craft paper bag. I think that says enough about that poem. Up next to the stage, Daniel Kohler. Please welcome Daniel.
Israfel by Edgar Allan Poe. And the angel Israfel, whose heartstrings are lute, and who has the sweetest voice of all God's creatures. Quran. In heaven a spirit doth dwell, whose heartstrings are lute. None sing so wildly well as the angel Israfel. And the giddy stars, so legends tell, seizing their hands, attend the spell of his voice, all mute. Tottering above in her highest noon, the enamored moon blushes with love. While, to listen, the red levens, with the rapid Pleiades, which were 7, pauses in heaven. And they say, the starry choir and the other listening things, that Israfeli's fire is owing to that lyre by which he sits and sings. The trembling, living wire of those unusual strings. But the skies, but the skies that angel trod, where deep thoughts are duty, where love's an grown-up God. The what? Where the hourly glances are imbued with all the beauty. I'm sorry. Which we worship upon a star. Therefore, thou art not wrong, Israfel, whose despises an unimpassioned song. Sorry. To thee the laurels belong. Best bard be the wisest, and merrily live and long. The ecstasies above of thy burning measure suit, thy grief, thy joy, thy hate, thy love. With the fervor of thy lute. I'm so sorry. Sorry about that. With the fervor of thy lute, well may the stars be mute. Yes, heaven is thine, but this is a world of sweets and sours. Our flowers are merely flowers, and the shadow of thy bliss is the sunshine of ours. If I could dwell where Israfel hath dwelt, and he were I, he may not sing so well a mortal melody, while a bolder note than this might swell from my lyre within the sky. Thank you.
Cottonmouth Country. Fish bones walk the waves of Hatteras, and there were other signs that death wooed us by water, wooed us by land among the pines. An uncurled cottonmouth that rolled on moss, reared in the polluted air. Birth, not death, is the hard loss. I know. I also left a skin there. At this point in the show, I wanted to give one more shout out to Sean Gant for just putting this on and letting us express ourselves through poetry. Because without her, she's really the mastermind of this. Without her, we would not have this show. We would not be listening to this fantastic poetry tonight. So give one more round of applause. Thank you. Up next to the stage, Cole Stone. Please welcome Cole.
Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening by Robert Frost. Whose woods these are, I think I know. His house is in the village, though. He will not see me stopping here to watch his woods fill up with snow. My little horse must think it queer to stop without a farmhouse near, between the woods and frozen lake, the darkest evening of the year. He gives his harness bells a shake to ask if there is some mistake. The only other sound is the sweep of easy wind and downy flake. The woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep. And miles to go before I sleep.
I just thought of a great poem backstage. My grandmother's chicken noodle soup. Oh, how my grandmother's chicken noodle soup heals me. The chicken from the coop. The broth that soothes my stomach. The carrots that held my eyes, and the refreshing vegetables that make me feel superb. I love my grandma's chicken noodle soup, and because I love my grandma's chicken noodle soup, I'm gonna go up to her next time and say thank you. You know, we don't give thanks for the small things in life nowadays, and random acts of kindness really bring up everyone's days. I actually learned about random acts of kindness from Miss Swanson over there, so give it up for Miss Swanson for bringing some random acts of kindness. She does. I didn't have any breakfast this morning, and she helped me out. She got me a little bag of oatmeal, and she fixed me up with some oatmeal, so you gotta love your teachers. But just bring some light in somebody's day tomorrow, and just do something kind for them, because that's what really brings people up. Up next to the stage, Julie Quackenbush. Please welcome Julie.
My Brother the Artist at 7 by Philip Levine. As a boy, he played alone in the field behind our block. 6 frame houses holding 6 immigrant families, the parents speaking only gibberish to their neighbors. Without the kids, they couldn't say good morning and be understood. Little wonder, he learned early to speak to himself, to tell no one what truly mattered. How much can matter to a kid of 7? Everything. The whole world can be his. Just after dawn, he sneaks out to hide in the wild, bleached grasses of August and pretends he's grown up. Someone complete in himself without the need for anyone. A warrior from the ancient places our fathers fled years ago. Those magic places. Kiev, Odessa, the Crimea, Port Said, Alexandria, Lisbon, the Canaries, Caracas, Galveston. In the damp grass, he recites the names over and over in a hushed voice, while the sun climbs into the locust tree to waken the houses. The husbands leave for work, the women return to bed, the kids bend to porridge and milk. He advances slowly, eyes fixed, an animal or a god, while beneath him, the earth holds its breath.
Don't you mind? When people walk down the halls, grinning in your face. The kid walks down the hallways, minding his own business. Bullied by the others, who think it's funny, who think it's their duty to pick on this kid. It's not a duty. The kid ends up walking down the hallways, spread negativity. One negative action leads to another, and then that just spreads throughout the nation. Don't you mind people grinning in your face? Don't you mind people grinning in your face? Yeah. Up next to the stage, Roman Hall. Please welcome Mr. Hall.
Undivided Attention by Taylor Molly. A grand piano wrapped in quilted pads by movers, tied up with canvas straps. Like classical music's birthday gift to the criminally insane. Is gently nudged out of a window, 8 stories up, on 62nd Street. It dangles in April air from the neck of the mover's crane, chopping shiny black lacquer squares and dirty crisscross patterns, like the second to last note of a concerto, being played on the edge of a seat, on the edge of tears, on the edge of 8 floors going up and over. It's a piano being pushed out of a window and lowered down onto a flatbed truck. And I'm trying to teach math in the building across the street. But who can teach when there are such lessons to be learned? All the greatest common factors can be delivered by long neck cranes and flatbed trucks. Or come through everything. Even air. Like snow. See, snow falls for the first time every year, and every year, my students rush to the window as if snow were somehow more important than math. Which, of course, it is. So please, let me teach like a Steinway, spinning slowly in April air, so almost falling, so hinderingly dangling from the neck of the mover's crane. losing everything. Let me teach, like the first snow, falling.
This one's an original called My Butterfly Queen. My butterfly queen loves me as she slumbers by my side. I have to stay up because the night calls my name. For my queen, I must leave so I can survive. I must go into the cold and up the mountain, through the snow over fences to arrive to the transportation fountain. As I ride off into the moonlight, I'll sing and laugh. But in the morning I'll sleep as my queen opens eyes. I travel for her sake, for her to realize that I am her cocoon and she still has to erupt from her blossoming tomb. Thank you. Welcoming up next to the stage, please welcome Cody Williams.
Charge of the Light Brigade by Alfred Lord Tennyson. Half a league, half a league, half a league onward, all in the valley of death, rode the 600. Forward, the Light Brigade, charge for the guns, he said. Into the valley of death, rode the 600. Forward, the Light Brigade. Was there a man dismayed? Not though the soldier knew, someone had blundered. His not the question why. His to make reply, his not to question why. His but to do and die. Into the valley of death rode the 600. Cannon to the right of them, cannon to the left of them, cannon in front of them, volleyed and thundered, stormed out with shot and shell. Boldly they rode and well. Into the jaws of death, into the mouth of hell rode the 600. Flashed all their sabers bare, flashed as they turned in air, sabering the gunners there, charging an army while all the world wondered. Plunged in the batteries, smoke right through the line they broke, Cossack and Russian reeled from the saber's stroke, shattered and sundered. Then they rode back, but not the 600. Cannon to the right of them, cannon to the left of them, cannon behind them, volleyed and thundered, stormed out with shot and shell, while horse and hero fell, they that had fought so well. Came through the jaws of death, back from the mouth of hell, all that was left of them, left of 600. When can their glory fade, oh the wild charge they made? All the world wondered. Honor the charge they made, honor the Light Brigade. No, 600.
Sometimes I giggle just a little bit. The oxytocin, mix it with the dopamine, and then we get it. I'm on that cloud nine, feeling like I got mine. Even though it's cloudy, straight up glimmers in the sunshine. So where my people at? I got the feeling that something beautiful up in the air, we build on that. Collectively, reciprocity, energetically, we build upon the happiness philosophy. And if you want to vamp our energy, we got the garlic and the water transformed with the alchemy. So where you at now? Tell me what's the deal? The game has changed, take a seat to deal about your food. Food for your soul.
Strength to let go.
Food for your soul.
Strength for the heart, mind, and
Food
soul.
for your soul. Oh, oh.
Food for the soul.
Oh, oh, oh.
Thank you very much. That was Food for the Soul. Up next to the stage, Violet Anderson. Please welcome Violet.
full of stars. Oh, come when the moon is mellow. Come when the sun, his golden bars, drops on hay fields yellow. Come with the twilight, soft and gray. Come in the night, or come in the day. Come, O love, whenever you may. And you are welcome, welcome. You're sweet, O love, dear love. You're soft as the nesting dove. Come to my heart and bring it to rest as the bird flies home to its welcome nest. Come when my heart is full of grief, or come when my heart is merry. Come with the falling leaf, or with the ripening cherry. Come when the year's first blossom blows. Come with summer's gleams and glows. Come with winter's drifting snows. And you are welcome, welcome.
We can't strike. Why not? Because it's against the law to strike. The king has declared that everything is a crime. Writing is a crime. 2 weeks ago, the police destroyed the gallery, the workers' newspaper. They smashed the press. They burned over 2,000 newspapers. But that didn't satisfy the king. 3 days ago at a student meeting, a peaceful meeting, soldiers broke it up and arrested 2 of my friends. Writing, talking, going to class, speaking out is a crime. Being poor is a crime. Being poor is the worst crime of all, and if you commit these crimes, you are condemned for life. Our government has no mercy, no pity, and there's no forgiveness. And because there's no forgiveness, and because there's no work, our children are starving. Tell me, why are we powerless to save the people we love? All of you know. Tell me why. The king betrayed us. We were promised the vote. Do we have it? Do we have the vote? Where is the republic our fathers died for? It's here, my brothers and sisters. It lives here in our heads. But most of all, best of all, it's in our hearts. Coming up next to the stage, Leanna Dillon.
I Wandered Lonely as a Cloud by William Wordsworth. I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high or veils in hills, when all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils, beside the lake, beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze. 10,000 saw I at a glance, tossing their heads in sprightly dance. The waves beside them danced, but they outdid the sparkling waves in glee. A poet could not but be gay in such a jocund company. I gazed and gazed, but little thought what wealth the show to me had brought. For oft when on my couch I lie, in vacant or in pensive mood, they flash upon that inward eye, which is the bliss of solitude. And then my heart with pleasure fills, and dances with the daffodils.
Vittoria, Vittoria, mio cuore, non lagrima più, non lagrima più, e sciolta d'amore la vil servitù. Vittoria, Vittoria, mio cuore, non lagrima più, e sciolta d'amore la vil servitù, e sciolta
A Chimney Sweeper, A Little Black Thing Among the Snow, by William Blake. A little black thing among the snow, crying weep, weep in the notes of woe. Where are thy father and mother? Say, they are both gone up to the church to pray. Because I am happy. Upon the heath, they think, and smiled among the winter snow. They clothed me in the clothes of death, and they taught me to sing the notes of woe. And because I am happy and dance and sing, they think they have done me no injury. And they go to praise God and his priest and king, who make up heaven of our misery.
Like lava, rock erupts to fill the room. From each coex, concentric speaker's throat and rolls like doom over the unmoved pinball-playing boys, whose jaws lightly reciprocate like long-stroke pistons, coupled to the tingling loom of augmented electric music, strong as sexuality and loud as noise, which keens across the dingy room at full gain, and its coin gone as abruptly dies. Up next to the stage, Madeline Braun. Please welcome to the stage.
The Man with Night Sweats by Tom Gunn. I wake up cold. I, who prospered through dreams of heat, wake to their residue, sweat and a clinging sheet. My flesh was its own shield. Where it was gashed, it healed. I grew as I explored the body I could trust, even as I adored the risk that made robust. A world of wonders in, each a challenge to the skin. I cannot but be sorry the given shield was cracked. My mind reduced to hurry, my flesh reduced and wrecked. I have to change the bed, but I stopped myself instead, stopped upright where I am, hugging my body to me, as if to shield it from the pains that will go through me, as if hands were enough to hold the avalanche off.
Missoula, Montana, my home. I would love to stay in my home. For throughout these next 4 years, I'm going to be traveling on a journey through my own. And I would love to come back to my home. But nowadays, a house is $265,000. That leaves me at $1,300 a month to pay, and we can't afford this at this rate, so how am I going to come home debt-free and live? How am I going to come home? I want to live here. and I need to figure out that. Coming up next to the stage, Ingrid Schluning. Yes, I think that's it.
Enough by Susan Buffon. I am wearing dark glasses inside the house to match my dark mood. I have left all the sugar out of the pie. My rage is a kind of domestic rage. I learned it from my mother, who learned it from her mother before her, and so on. The more words a person knows to describe her private sufferings, the more distantly she can perceive them. I repeat the names of all the cities I've known and watch an ant drag its crooked shadow home. What does it mean to love the life we've been given, to act well the part that's been cast for us? Wind, light, fire, time. A train whistles through the far hills. One day, I hope to be writing it.
And those footprints belong to a big wolf. Trying to find service on my cell phone. I felt alright with my knife on my belt though. I hope the wolf is intimidated by you. I wonder if he even knew he was behind you, stalking you, maybe watching you, waiting for the opportunity to hop on top of you, salivating you, want to take you to the stomach. In the cartoons, you would have turned into a drumstick. And it gets as bad as it goes, because I noticed there's a new set of tracks in the snow. I understood. It doesn't look good. Your fan club doubled. Now you've got another wolf. And the odds are in favor of the home team. Why'd you walk off all alone? Where you going? It ain't right. But it ain't time to complain, but it feels like I'm trying to find your remains. Your footprints grew further apart, and I knew what that meant, and it started to hurt my heart, and we just started to run, so I did the same. Now my breath's looking like a steam engine train. Suddenly your tracks dipped off to the path, and so did theirs, so my knife I grabbed into the woods. Expect the worst, adrenaline burst, dispersed the nerves, 50 yards into the woods and brush. It got so thick that it looked like dust. The air stood serene, sober. It seemed like a good 15 degrees colder. And I'll admit, hell yeah, I felt fear. The sound of my heartbeat was all I could hear. Looking at the snow, it was plain and clear. There was a third set of wolf prints where yours disappeared. Up next to the stage, Sophia Speckington.
The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both, and be one traveler, long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowth, then took the other just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear. Though, as for that, the passing there had worn them really about the same. And both that morning equally lay, in leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I get the first for another day. Yet, knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be saying this with a sigh. Somewhere ages and ages hence, two roads diverged in the wood, and I took the one less traveled by. And that has made all the difference. Thank you.
every single day. Suppose I said the word springtime, and I wrote the words King Salmon on a piece of paper and mailed it to you. When you opened it, would you remember that afternoon we spent together in the yellow boat? When the early whales were feeding and we caught our first fish of the year? Or would you remember that time of Cape Flattery when you were a little girl? Your father smoking, telling stories as he ran the boat. Then the tug and zing of that very first fish, spooling off into the gray-green world. You laughing, brushing back your hair before setting the hook. I know, I'm hard to understand sometimes, particularly when you are standing at the post office with only a piece of paper saying King Salmon on it. But just think of it as a promising note, and that electric tug, that thrill pulling your mind into deep water is how I feel about you every single day. Up next to the stage, Claire Parsons.
War Ballad by Stanley Moss. After the Russian. The piano has crawled into the quarry, hauled in last night for firewood, sprawled with frozen barrels, crates, and sticks. The piano is waiting for the axe. Legless, a black box, still polished, it lies on its belly like a lizard, droning, heaving, hardly fashioned for the quarry's primordial art. Blood red, his frozen fingers cleft, 2 on the right hand, 5 on the left. He goes down on his knees to reach the keyboard, to strike the lizard's chord. 7 fingers pick out rhymes and rhythm. The frozen skin, steaming, peels off them as from a boiled potato. Their schemes, their beauty, ivory and anthracite flicker and flash like the great northern lights. Everything played before is a great lie. The reflection of flaming chandeliers, deceit. The white columns, the grand tears in warm concert halls, wild lies. But the steel of the piano howls in me. I lie in the quarry and am deft as the lizard. I accept the gift. I'll be a song for Russia. I'll be an etude, warm and bread for everybody.
Looking at the snow, it was plain and clear. There was a third set of wolf prints where yours disappeared. I can't process. I don't follow. It would be easier to believe that you were swallowed with no signs of death, no signs of struggle, no signs of blood, no signs of trouble. And the wolves never stopped. The tracks kept going, and I took off. So I don't know how your story ends, but I know I never go into those woods again. It's not that tragic. It's not a shame. You're not the hunted. You're not the aim. You're just another dog with hunger pains. I was so afraid that you became the game. I forgot to worry about what you became. You're not the hunted. You're not the aim. You're just another dog with hunger pains. I was so afraid that you became the game. Became. The last poet for the night, Stephanie Clement. Please welcome Stephanie.
Barter by Sarah Teasdale. Life has loveliness to sell, all beautiful and splendid things. Blue waves whitened on a cliff, soaring fire that sways and sings. Children's faces looking up, holding wonder like a cup. Life has loveliness to sell. Music like a curve of gold, scent of pine trees in the rain. Eyes that love you, arms that hold. And for your spirit still delight, holy thoughts that star the night. Give all you have for loveliness. Buy it and never count the cost. For one white, seeming hour of peace, count many a year of strife well lost. And for a breath of ecstasy, give all you have been, or could be. Thank you.
Give it up one more time for all these lovely poets. Give it up, give it up, give it up. We're gonna take one little moment. I wanted to just thank everyone for coming out tonight and making this possible. Thank you to the young poets that made this Poetry Out Loud a thing. So thank you very much for memorizing the poems and coming out and making this strong. And I want to thank the teachers that encouraged you young people to do this, because I know that we couldn't do this without our teachers. So I want us all to thank the lovely teachers of our region. So thank you. I also want to thank the judges again, Heather Cahoon, Karen Shaw, Henrietta Goodman, and Mackenzie Cole. Thank you guys for judging tonight. That was fantastic. And thank you, MCAT, again, for putting us on air and filming us. Did you have another one? Yes. Thank you, audience, too, for coming out and listening to this poetry. We couldn't do this without you. I mean, you guys are the heart and soul of our poetry. So give it up for yourselves as well. Thank you very much. Give it up to Bridget in the back for running the lights. Thank you, Bridget, again. Just thank everyone. Just give thanks. Thank you. Well, since we're all here, I might as well tell you about my day. I had a long day. It's kind of crazy because I estimated yesterday that I have like 10-hour days because I go to school. I didn't count the break, so I have the hour of lunch off, and then I have 7th period off. But I go to school, and I go from 7:45 to about 2:06. And then I have a little bit of a break, and then I have after-school rehearsal, which is about 3 more hours, and then I'm done for the day. And then I got homework, so I get to go home and do some homework. Then I go to sleep. Those are my favorite hours of the day. Sleep, because we all need our sleep. I wish that I could get like 9 hours of sleep every night, because then I just wake up and like, whoo! Ready for the day, because now some days I'm really excited when I wake up, but the other days I wake up and I'm just like, I need some coffee. I'm gonna go downstairs and I pour my cinnamon toast crunch. And then I get my milk and I look at the expiration date and it's expired. I'm like, oh my God, there's one more thing I needed. Expired milk. And I have to eat my cinnamon toast crunch. Just cinnamon toast crunch without milk. It's the worst. It's literally the worst. I hate it. Happens quite a bit if you can't tell. That's why I love coming to school and unprepared, and then I get Miss Swanson to make me a quick little oatmeal. It's funny because there are little packages of oatmeal, and I didn't know this, but you can literally cut open the tops of oatmeal packages and just pour hot water in it and just fold it and eat your oatmeal. I thought it would like go through the bag or something, but apparently that's a no-brainer. So, mind blown. Oatmeal mind blown. Judges, did you like your snacks tonight? That's good. I like the chocolate almonds. I should sing some classic. Right. I'll sing a little bit of Ich grolle nicht, a German piece. Are we ready? I think we're ready. We can't have any Ich grolle nicht.
I won't be able to sing that. So. I'd like to invite all the contestants up to the stage for photos. You guys have a great camera out there. You guys can come up here. Really great. And Jonna, can you join me, please?
Do you have a password on it?
What?
Do you have a password on it?
So I'm going to go in reverse order and name the folks that are going to stay. But let's see all of you guys. Yeah, maybe 2 rows. We can squish you in. Yeah. All right. So you've done this before. That's great. Yeah, move this. That's a pretty picture. And if you guys will just stay up here for a second, just like, well, for, 5 or 6 minutes. Yeah, let's have one more round. These fine young men and women. And you all look terrific and you did a great job tonight. That was not easy. So I'm going to name the 7 folks that will be invited to attend state March 4th. That's Saturday. And then if you would stay here and speak with Jonna Schwartz, she will give you, all the information that you need. Okay, and the rest of you be excused. And I'll see you in the halls or I'll see you back here, I'm sure. We have one alternate, and I'll name that person first. It's Liana Dillon. This is the part you get to practice for graduation. Aaliyah Jordan. Ben River. Claire Parsons. Stephen Clement. Julie Quackenbush. And Geneva DeLine. That's it for tonight. Thanks for traveling. Be safe traveling home. And one more time, thank you very much for doing your poems tonight.